Hi, I'm Gordon Ayndstein. I'm an attorney from Los Angeles, California. What I'm going to be speaking about today is the application of United States securities laws. In other words, the laws governing the issuance of stocks, bonds, and other investments. How those laws apply to companies that are conducting token sales by ICO. There's a very active issue right now about whether or not tokens that are being released into the public are securities under US law. Everyone's doing this song and dance right now, thinking, hoping, praying that they're tokens and not investments, but they're often making mistakes. I would also argue, or I'm advocating, that sometimes you want your token to not just be a utility token. You want it to have investment characteristics because you can create a better token, first of all, and second of all, you can access US capital. If you know what you're doing and you can decide intelligently for sure that your token is not a utility, that's great. But if it is an investment token, or if it has those characteristics, and you know what you're doing, complying with US law is not that hard. And that's the difference between raising 20 million in ICO and raising 100 million in ICO, and having a crippled token as opposed to a fully functional token, and also having no US buyers use your token because they don't know about it, and having a public relations event in the US. I would argue that it's worth at least considering looking at, understanding, and taking advantage of US securities laws. So this whole idea of doing a crowd sale of investment securities is a result of something called the Jobs Act in the United States. And that passed a couple years ago. It followed up on that sort of Kickstarter idea that you want to crowdsource funding, and rather than, as with Kickstarter or Indiegogo, rather than someone getting t-shirts saying, hey, I supported this company, or the actual product that they were trying to sell, you could raise funds from the world, or from a wider investor base. This is a big change because the way it used to be is if you did not want to go public, you had to sell your investments to a very limited class of investors. They had to be accredited or sophisticated, and they also could not be accessible through a public solicitation. You had to know them or know someone else who knew them. With crowd selling securities, a new provision got added to what's called Rule 506, and it allows you to sell or solicit to the general public. But it's very restricted. It's restricted in the amount that people can invest. It's also restricted in the very important sense that you can only sell through an approved platform. You can't sell directly to the public. You have to do it through an approved platform. I'd say in 99% of the cases, what makes far more sense is understanding the default rule, finding the right non-crowd sale exemption, which involves generally selling to a certain controlled number of wealthy individuals and going to them directly. Much less money involved, much more easy to comply with the rules, and also much more easy to stay in compliance with the rules later on, which is something, that's a factor I think everyone is missing. They're going to have to consider US securities laws no matter what, because the laws don't just apply within the physical space of the United States, they apply everywhere. Whether they should or not, the SEC has a very long view of its jurisdiction, of where it can reach. So you really should consider it everywhere. If your token you're creating has any investment characteristics at all, or if the SEC changes its mind about what that means, then even if you aren't originally selling to US investors, if you sell it to someone who then later on sells it to US investors, you're under US law. Okay, so for example, if I create a token that has some investment characteristics, and I only sell it to people in Argentina, and they all sell it to the US, well, I just went public the backdoor way, and I didn't even know it. And then one of them sues me, and then I have a real problem. So that's, yes, you must consider it. And blocking IP for an actual purchase doesn't do any good because the rule covers the offer of sale securities, not just the sale. I think people are so afraid of US securities law that they're making a big design mistake. And when you're engaging a startup, you want to be the best startup you can be. And in this case, that means making the best token you can make. Your token design should be based on the business model of the startup and the technical model of the startup only. That's the best token. That's going to be the most competitive token. So you come up with a token with like 2 legs and 2 arms. What people do is they go, oh my gosh, that arm kind of looks like an investment that would make it a security in the US. So they chop off that arm and they come up with this crippled token that only has one arm, they go, hey, look, I'm a utility token now. Oops. They have this suboptimal token. Meanwhile, this other company that's coming up with a token that fully fulfills their business model and their technical model has an advantage, and they can raise capital in the United States. So basically, you must consider US law, but maybe you want to take advantage of US law also. Even if you know/believe you have a utility token, and a utility token is the best token you can possibly have for your business, not everyone else is going to believe you, and some of those people you want to believe you. For example, if there's an exchange that is hesitant about listing your token because they don't 100% know whether or not it's a utility or not, it's a benefit to have a letter from an attorney saying we've applied US law. We know a US law, we've applied US law, here's our analysis, here's why it's our opinion based on the above that it is a utility token. So even if you know internally, or think you know, that's a utility token, sometimes third parties, even if they believe you, need some sort of certification, if you like, of utility token status. So no matter what, there's a benefit to look. That can be a marketing benefit also.